with the Certified Financial Group begins in just a couple of minutes. Yesterday marked the second anniversary of the massacre in which 17 people lost their lives in an attack at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High in Parkland, Florida. Hundreds of students from that school now attend the University of Central Florida. Robert Shentrop's 16-year-old sister, Carmen, was one of the 17 people who died at Stoneman Douglas.
This semester I'm graduating, and she won't be there to see it.
Students held a vigil last night at UCF. Many of them, including Shentrop, are advocating better gun safety measures. 3 students from Lake Brantley High School in Seminole County are facing serious charges because of a video of a student with a gun inside a school bathroom Friday morning. And in Volusia County, threats on social media kept more than half of the students home from Mainland High School yesterday. Search is continuing in Lake Mary after shots were fired in the parking lot of the La Quinta Inn and Suites off Greenwood Boulevard. Happened Friday morning. What we've learned, posted in the News 96.5 WDBO app. 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, the second biggest sporting event of the year is happening this weekend in Daytona.
The 62nd annual running of NASCAR's Daytona 500 is set for 2:30 Sunday afternoon. Some 200,000 people will be on hand, including President Trump and the First Lady. Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood.
There's going to be a lot more security than you're used to and have been there in the past years.
Spectators will get an extra treat when Air Force One arrives at Daytona International Airport, directly opposite Daytona International Speedway.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Pat Monahan of the group Train will sing the national anthem. Tony Marino, News 96.5 WDBO.
9:03 at News 96.5 WDBO.
Message and data rates may apply.
Earning your degree from one of the top business schools in the country might sound impossible to fit into your workload. But what if there were a business degree that advanced your career skills and gave you access to world-renowned faculty, leaders, and mentors all on your schedule? One that opened doors to some of the most influential CEOs, tech companies, law firms, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. And what if you could earn that degree in as little as 16 months, 100% online? Find out more. Text TEST to 79645. Start on the path to earning your MBA or Business Analytics Master's degree online from the W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University today. Learn more about the graduate programs from the top-ranked W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University, offered 100% online. Text TEST to 79645. That's TEST to 79645.
Hey, it's Tom Terry. This is where Orlando turns first for breaking news, weather, and traffic. News 96.5 WDBO.
Weather brought to you by U.S. Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's going to be a cooler start to the day with temperatures in the 50s, but through this afternoon, breezy, partly cloudy, and warmer. Daytime highs hitting about 75 degrees today, and most of us will see dry skies, but a couple isolated showers at our coastline will be possible. From Channel 9 Eyewitness News and meteorologist Cassandra Crimmy.
Now,
Safe Touch Security.
Triple Team Traffic.
Things looking great along our Central Florida expressways. No major incidents to worry about slowing you down, though the attractions area is starting to see a little bit of activity as you make your way beyond the beach line. You'll start running into some slowdowns going through 535. Nothing to worry about along I-4 otherwise, however, nor on the 417, the 408, the beach line, or the turnpike. So enjoy your ride. This report is sponsored by new Mucinex Night Shift. Sleeping with a cold, or not sleeping with a cold, is the worst. Mucinex Night Shift helps relieve cold and flu symptoms so you can wake the next day feeling human, instead of like a zombie. Try Mucinex Night Shift. Get relief with super fast delivery. Triple Team Traffic, I'm Stan Morris, News 96.5 WDVO.
This is Channel 9 Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Tom Terry. This is where Orlando turns first for breaking news, weather, and traffic. News 96.5 WDBO.
Hey, it's Joe Kelly. Join me for Orlando's morning news every weekday morning starting at 5. Just ask Alexa to set an alarm and wake up to News 96.5 WDBO. And when you get into your car, listen to 96.5 FM. And I'll make sure to get you to work on time with Triple Team Traffic and help you get around the changes from the I-4 Ultimate Project.
Now, our Ask the Experts weekend continues on News 96.5 WDBO.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of On the Money with a certified financial group right here on News 96.5 WDBO's Ask the Experts Weekend. We are here with the Oracle of Orlando, Joe Burt, alongside Gary Abley, here to take your questions. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys today?
We're doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
A little cooler than I was expecting.
Well, it's supposed to warm up, and it's on the way, and hopefully this cold weather's behind us.
And we're a lot warmer than the rest of the nation.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Terrible,
Yes.
terrible
Record
stuff going on
lows
out
in
there.
Chicago
Yes,
and other places.
Yes. And Antarctica was like 66 last week, record high.
Yeah,
and
how about
Chicago's got record lows.
Figure it out.
I don't
Go
know
figure.
the weather.
Go figure.
I don't know. But we're not here to talk about the weather today, Joe. What are we here to do?
Well, Gary and I are here to talk about anything that's on your mind. We are the only financial call-in show in Central Florida that's hosted exclusively by certified financial planner professionals. We have 12 certified financial planners under one roof at Certified Financial Group. All the planning that we do on a regular basis, doing financial planning and investment management, we do for a fee. And we are here to take your questions. The things that Gary and I and the 10 other CFPs do at Certified Financial Group, we answer clients' questions, things that might be on their mind, and what they need to do now so they're prepared for retirement. As you approach those retirement years, are you invested too aggressively, too conservatively? Answer questions about your IRA, about a 401k, things that might be on your mind regarding real estate, long-term health care, annuities, life insurance, reverse mortgages, all that and more. Gary and I are here to take your questions. So if you have any questions about any of those topics, and if you want to tune in and see us live, you can do that. Just go to Facebook, go to your Facebook page, and in the search bar, type in Certified Financial Group, and you can peek in here behind the scenes and see what we're doing in the studio. This is rigged up by our producer-director here, Kyle Cassandra. He's got this new rig going for us here, and we look like we're MSNBC, or CNBC, I should say.
MSNBC.
I'll forget that.
Wow.
CNBC or Fox Business. That's what we look like, Fox Business. So we're here to take your calls and answer your questions, and we encourage you. At Certified Financial Group, we work with our clients as in a fiduciary basis, which means we need to have a legal obligation to put your interests before ours, and that's what we've been doing. We've been doing this for almost 40 years and been a proud member of the WDBO family here for now 30 years, and we're glad to be with you this morning. So if you have any questions about anything, pick up the phone and dial these magic numbers.
844-220-0965. That's 844-220-0965. We also have the text machine up and running as well at 21232. That is 21232. We just asked you to keep it about 160 characters because that's all we can see on the screen. And you know what? We are on Facebook this morning. So if you go to facebook.com and / Certified Financial Group, or put Certified Financial Group in the search bar, leave a comment in the video. We can look for those as well. Topic of the day, Gary Abley.
Topic is
title theft scam.
Exactly. So I actually had a client send me an email, and he said, is this something I should be worried about? He has a subscription to Kiplinger, and there was an article that especially among vacation homes or out-of-state property, that, you know, what will crooks think of next but stealing the title.
Oh, well, I've heard the commercials on the radio.
Right, selling a service, right?
Selling a service to protect your title. Your biggest asset is the equity in your home, and you can use it. So I don't lose my home. So tell us all about that.
Well, if you think about it, if you have an out-of-state property and you're not checking the property appraiser's website often to see if a new deed is recorded, you could, in theory, assume somebody's identity, get a fake ID, go to a title company and say, hey, I want to transfer ownership of this house to my daughter, right? And may not be the daughter, though, right? It'd be another person, and all of a sudden, the person then might take a loan out on this home that was free and clear, right? And all of a sudden, you have an encumbrance on your property. So I recommend, I don't know that the subscription services are necessary. In Orange, Osceola, Seminole County, you can go to the property appraiser's office. You can look at the deeds recorded on your property. And I would just check that periodically. Wouldn't hurt to check it every so often.
Right.
The other thing that's, I think, a good idea is, ironically, I had you get these little advertisements.
While you're on that, let's back up there.
All right.
It's probably more difficult to do that if you had a mortgage on the property, right?
Correct. It would be. Yes.
So if you had a mortgage on the property, it's more because that mortgage has to be satisfied before you can transfer the deed.
And probably if it were in the name of a trust, it's just one extra layer.
One extra step.
Probably one extra step.
Got
exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. So, I had gotten a pop-up ad for a woman's clothing.
Oh, really?
On the computer.
You want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, right. So I thought, well, this is unusual. I've ordered, some dress shirts from the company Banana Republic, and I started getting these ads. And lo and behold, I looked at the next statement, and, I don't normally have a credit card for that, but it was like 20% off if you get your credit card. I said, what the heck, I'll go ahead and get it and then cancel it later. But anyway, I had a fraudulent charge, and it was for a woman's clothing. So I'm wondering if they saw, for example, that had been charged, and then I was fed up with these, new commercials or new advertisements. And so the moral of that story is if you get something in your mail and it looks odd, like it's from a bank, we're accustomed just to ripping up stuff that we don't think that we think is garbage. But what if that is a payment book for a new mortgage?
Yeah.
So I think we do have to check our junk mail a little more carefully, just in light of this title
It's crazy.
possibility.
It is crazy.
Yes.
Absolutely crazy. Yep.
Do you share an account with your wife or a device like your iPad? You laugh, but that's it. I mean, she starts searching through these sites, and then you get on that, and all those ads are going to come back.
That's what happens to you?
It does.
Yeah. Kyle?
Oh, yeah, no.
Been there, done that?
We have the iPad. It's on the couch.
Yeah. Oh.
And 2 days later, I'll get Amazon ads for stuff I knew she was shopping for
there
2
you
days
go.
ago.
That'll do it.
Because it's all on the same device.
These separate iPads. It keeps the marriage happy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or I just don't care about the ads I'm being sent.
Well, that's
fortunately
true.
to Google and Amazon.
There you go.
But 844-220-0965. That is 844-220-0965. You got a number to dial us up. That is the number to dial us up this morning. If you have a question like Keith in Orlando has done. Keith, good morning. You're on with the Certified Financial Group.
Good morning, Keith.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
My question is, I have a bond at the portfolio with the employer that I'm thinking of leaving soon, and we have a general account that gives us 3% guarantee. It's been like that for the past 10, 15 years. My question is, would it be okay if I wanted to put the percentage on the bonds, transfer it to the general account, and then leave the rest in the large caps, that is the S&P 500, and just kind of like diversify it that way instead of having the bond? What do you guys recommend?
Well, Keith, how old are you, if you don't mind asking or answering, rather?
I'm 45.
All right. So a general rule of thumb, and again, it's just a rule of thumb, is we like to say a minimum percentage in the stock portion of your portfolio should be 110 less your age. And based on your age, we would say you ought to be about 65% minimum in equities because you're very young. And
correct.
So as long as you have that taken care of, then the question is, what do we do with this fixed income portion of our portfolio? Is it better to buy a bond fund, or is it better to go with this general account with a guarantee of 3%? And that's a tough question. I think Vanguard is now forecasting fixed income, bond funds to be somewhere in that range of 2 to 4% over the next decade because we're in very, very low interest rate. We're in a low interest rate period, and it doesn't look as though we're going to have those increase anytime soon. But I don't know that, Joe, would you do an all or nothing? I would tend to do, use some of that 3% guarantee and some in the bond funds.
Well, I want to know about the guaranteed account. Is it what's called a stable value account? That ring a bell, Keith?
The general. See if I have the form.
Sure.
When we check with the financial advisor, he said that nothing is guaranteed. If the market crashes, the company can sure change it. But in 2008, it never moved. And prior to that, in 2001, it's still been the same 3%. So it's a very high probability that will never change. But he cannot give
it almost sounds like some form of annuity. Is this with an insurance company?
That too.
Is your
no,
401k managed by an insurance company?
No.
No. You want to tell us who it's with?
Mass Mutual.
That's an insurance company.
Yep. So the one thing
I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. That's okay.
So the one thing Joe, I think, is getting at is if you're in an annuity, if you take a portion of your 401k and lock it up in an annuity, there are sometimes restrictions, long periods of time before you can get out of that. And what you wouldn't want is to be locked up in a 3% environment when interest rates do rise, maybe it's 3 to 5, 7 years from now, but you would be locked in to get that 3% when bonds might be yielding more like 4 or 5%.
Well, the other side to that, though, is some of these annuities, they're going to be adjusted when interest rates go up, particularly if they're in a 401k. And your bond is going to go down in value as interest rates go up. So I would be more inclined to put you in that annuity portion, because if it's not going to go lower than 3, even with the drops that we've had in interest rates, you've got that pretty much locked in. And when interest rates start to rise, they've got to be more competitive in what they do on the annuity side, as opposed to the bonds, which, as we know, when interest rates go up, the value of the bonds will go down. So I might be inclined to lean toward that annuity, Keith. But getting back to Gary's premise, I think at your age, I would probably be more aggressive than 55% in the equity side.
Yeah, 65.
Or 65. 65. Okay, go ahead.
My only answer to that is because of the age, it calculates based on the numbers that you guys suggested, 110 plus the age. But if the employer that we have, the 457, if I'm going to just put it out there, if I have 425,000 and 250 of that is in the 457, which I don't have to pay any 10% fees, and if I'm planning on leaving, let's say within 2 years, my question is, now I'm not no longer a 45-year-old. I'm a person close to retirement age of 67, for example. So my question to that is, what do you guys recommend to have in a general account or in a bond in that perspective? 3 years of my living expenses, 5 years? I was thinking, like, if I need, let's say, 25,000 a year, divide that by
well,
three.
let's start with your basic premise here. From what I read here, is you plan to retire in a couple years.
Well, not retire. I'm planning on withdrawing those money. I'm not going to retire. I'm doing other stuff, but
good.
I'm planning on withdrawing the money.
All right. You scared me there.
Yeah, retirement is a pretty scary.
Well, at 47, it scared me.
Right. Yes. So
well,
Keith,
if I worked since I was 16 and now at 45, I worked almost 30 years doing all type of careers through my past. I don't see it as I'm retiring, because you've been doing this so long, so many stuff. You never stop from growing. But my main concern is I'm thinking of leaving 3 years in a general account, meaning 75,000, set it and forget it, and don't lose sleep over it, and then the rest have them in the market of.
Yeah, I don't think that's
a little off.
No, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
The one thing we want to point out is if your income were to go down, and you needed to supplement it with some of your savings, we have to keep in mind that you have a longevity potentially of 50 years, and that's why we recommend people have a higher percentage of equities if they can tolerate the volatility that a higher percentage will inevitably give you. So again, the minimum that we would recommend is 110 less your age, but in many cases, and especially in what you're saying, we'd probably recommend a little bit higher allocation to equities, again, if you can stomach the volatility.
Keith, you are a candidate. You are a candidate to have some planning done, though, and this would be a detailed look as to where you are today with your assets, with your income, with your life expectancy. Are you going to get a pension from your employer as well?
No, what we're getting is pretty much we get in the 457.
So they're putting the money in. Okay,
whatever we have there.
Okay. All right.
And we have a pretty good investment with a TRP that I was looking at. The management is this year it did 30% on 80 stocks, and the other one is another 700 on the TI index fund that's doing somewhere around 20. So that's why I didn't want to worry about the bonds to make 1 or 2% when this management company is doing a great job for the past 60 years. I just don't want it to take a chance like 2008 and then have only 3 years if I needed that 20,000 or 25,000 to withdraw each year, kind of like set it and forget it.
Well,
that's where I'm kind of like.
Well, setting aside 3 years of living expenses, you can just set it and forget it and don't look at it.
That's right.
You're in a great position.
Typical bear market recovers well before 3 years, and so you've got a safe bucket of money. And I'm going to give a little plug because just last Saturday, I did a workshop on Will Your Savings Last Your Lifetime. And Keith, next time we offer that, I think it's going to be in about 6 months, I'd recommend you come to it because we talk about having that safe bucket of money that you can draw from to reduce the sequencing of returns risk, meaning you retire in 2007 and all of a sudden, the market takes a dive. So come to that if you like.
Exactly.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Keith.
Thank you, Keith.
Appreciate it, Keith. We're up against the break here. So, Keith, thank you so much for calling. And if you want to give the Certified Financial Group a call during the week, Joe, what's the best number to do that?
407-869-9800, or better yet, go to our website. That's financialgroup.com, financialgroup.com.
And if you would like Keith's line, it's 844-220-0965. That's 844-220-0965. We are planning tomorrow
today
with the Certified Financial Group. Right now, we pause to get the 3 big things you need to know.
When you think of financial security, what do you think of? It involves money, but it isn't about money. It's about sending your children to college, providing medical care for your family, and finally a secure retirement so that you can enjoy your golden years. You only get one chance at financial security, so you need to know that you have chosen credentialed professionals to prudently guide you to and through your retirement years. That's why generations of clients have chosen the professionals at Certified Financial Group. For over 40 years, Certified Financial Planner professionals have provided fee-only financial planning, focusing on Social Security, retirement, and investment planning. What makes them different? All of their Certified Financial Planner professionals adhere to a formal code of ethics and continuing educational requirements that far exceed the average financial advisor. If you don't see this designation, a financial planner has not met the rigorous requirements needed to navigate today's challenging financial environment. Operating from a fiduciary standard of care, the CFP professionals have taken the added step of earning the Accredited Investment Fiduciary designation, awarded by the Center for Fiduciary Studies. As a fiduciary, these planners have a duty of loyalty and care to put their clients' interests above their own. Certified Financial Group is an independent firm. Its independence allows it to selectively partner with many of the world's largest financial institutions. This allows it to recommend the best financial solutions tailored to each individual. No house products and no sales quotas. From its headquarters in Altamont Springs, the Certified Financial Planner professionals and staff deliver a client-centric approach focused on serving you to and through your retirement years. That is the certified difference.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility of making investment decisions on behalf of other people. As the trustee of a retirement plan, the decisions you make can have a direct impact on the lives of your employees. Whatever type of investor you are, the solution is to use an advisor certified by the Center for Fiduciary Excellence. A CFEX certified advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence, a defined standard with specific criteria covering 21 best practices. The documented, repeatable processes and the evidence-based decision-making that CFEX demands are more likely to generate investment portfolios that match client needs and expectations. And because the firm voluntarily agrees to a rigorous annual audit, investors can rest assured that their advisor continues to work to the highest professional standards. This independent verification is even more critical for trustees and investment committee members of retirement plans who are legally required to conduct regular due diligence on their service providers. Use a CFEX certified firm, and that job has been done already by an expert at no expense to the plan. So why leave anything to chance? Insist on working with investment professionals you can truly trust. Insist on using a CFEX certified advisor.
Welcome back to Good Day Orlando. On the Business Watch this morning, check your credit scores. FICO announcing they've made changes to how score models are calculated, which could mean a drop in your credit score. Certified financial planner Joe Burt joining us in studio this morning with what you need to know. Joe, good morning. Always good to see you.
You too as well.
So this is a bit alarming. Tell us about this new credit score model.
Well, Fair Isaac Corporation is a company started in 1956 that reports to the three major credit reporting agencies, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And those folks give your credit score to lenders who want to determine whether or not you're creditworthy. So what they're doing is they're fine-tuning, if you will, what the credit score is, and the impact is that some folks' scores are going to go up and some are going to go down.
Okay. How is this different than before? Obviously, they've got a new mathematical model that they're using.
Right. What they're looking at now is how people are using unsecured credit. Loans that you can take without putting up any collateral, loans that you might put on a credit card from American Express. And what they're finding is some folks are doing is they're getting a cash advance to make credit card payments on their old credit cards, almost like a Ponzi scheme. So they're watching that. And if your credit score is 680 or above and you're not doing that, you may get a 20-point bump. If your score is 600 or below and you're doing that, you're going to get a 20-point drop.
My goodness. Okay, so what does it mean for the consumers who are on time with all their payments and have a great score? Will this affect them at all?
Not to any great degree. As long as you're on time and you're not abusing credit, it's not going to affect you at all. But what they're keeping an eye on now is this unsecured credit, and they're concerned about that because the lenders want to be sure that you're going to make those payments, and they have to fine-tune the algorithms.
What about your credit limits?
Welcome back. This is On the Money with a Certified Financial Group right here on News 96.5 WDBO's Ask the Experts Weekend. We are here with Joe Burt and Gary Abley, Certified Financial Planner Professionals at the Certified Financial Group, and we're taking your phone calls at 844-220-0965. Went along with that first segment, had a lot of great callers, and we got a big long segment coming up after the latest news, weather, and traffic, which is here in about 2 minutes. So now's an excellent time to call in, get in line, so you have all the time in the world to talk to Joe Burt and Gary Abley, Certified Financial Planners at the Certified Financial Group. Again, 844-220-0965. That's 844-220-0965. And if you want a little more of a personal conversation, well, there's somebody in the office, right, Joe?
Yeah, that's right. Rodney Ownby, Certified Financial Planner, as well as a CPA, is at the office this morning to take your call. So if you have a detailed question or maybe want some tax information, Rodney is the guy to go to. Gary's here with me this morning. Rodney is the man to go to, and he's there this morning taking your calls. And you can reach him right now at 407-869-9800 or 1-800-EXECUTIVES if you're executing a legal document. And if he's on the phone, leave a message, and he promises to get back to you. So Rodney's there taking your calls, and we are here as well until the top of the hour, answering questions that you might have regarding your personal finances. As I said, we are the only financial call-in show that is live. We are not a 1-hour infomercial. This is what Gary and I and the 10 other certified financial planners do day in and day out for a fee with our clients, working with them and solving their financial issues, working on a financial plan, a retirement plan, and doing what we call investment management. We are an independent firm. We do financial planning for a fee, and we'd be delighted to work with you. So go to our website. That's financialgroup.com. That's financialgroup.com. You can find out what we're all about and what we do.
Yeah, and again, if you want to call the show or send in a text, 844-220-0965. That's 844-220-0965. And the text is 21232. We asked you to keep it about 160 characters because that's all we could see on our screen. We are planning tomorrow.
Today.
The Certified Financial Group on News 96.5 WDBO.
This is News
On your Consumer Watch this morning, we're talking about Social Security benefits. Regardless of whether you're close to retirement or even a few years away, 2020 is bringing some big changes which could directly affect you. We're going to bring in our financial expert, Joe Burt, to break it all down for us this morning. Joe, good morning.
Good morning, Andrea. Good to see you.
Okay, so let's talk about this increase in Social Security checks happening next year.
Yes, the annual increase that you get, which is determined every September, they announce what the new number is is going a whopping 1.6%, and the average person gets about $1,400 a month on Social Security. That means they'll get an increase of about $24.
Okay, that helps. Every little bit helps.
Well, every little bit helps, but if you're living on $1,400 a month, you are below the poverty level, which is why we tell our viewers that Social Security was not meant to be a retirement plan. It is a safety net, and what you're going to have in retirement is what you're able to save between now and when the Social Security checks start.
So think of it as a supplement. Let's talk about making sure you've got more means that you'll qualify for more, and that means, you know, there is kind of a maximum benefit to this.
Maximum benefit is about $3,000 a month now if you retire the full retirement age. However, if you defer your full retirement age to age 70, okay, you get an automatic 8% per year increase plus cost of living. So some people that defer that had the maximum contribution are getting about $4,000 a month in Social Security now, which is a huge amount. Unfortunately, most people make the wrong decision about Social Security. You know what they do? They reach age 62, they say, I'm going to kick back, I get my Social Security check, I get a little bit of savings, and I want to retire. Well, what happens is great for the first few years, but then you get in your 70s and your 80s and you find out it's not such a pleasant thing. So you really have to focus on what Social Security will provide, but more importantly, what you're able to save and invest through your working lifetime.
$4,000 sounds like a very good number, but not everybody qualifies for that.
You have to have the maximum contribution for 35 years, because that's how your Social Security is calculated. It's your high 35. So if you've been contributing the highest amount, right now this year the maximum is $133,000 as a wage base. Next year it goes to $137,000. And it's adjusted back in the early years, of course, it wasn't that. But if you contributed the maximum amount, and if you waited to age 70, your Social Security check now is about $4,000 a month.
Okay, let's talk about retirement age, because as you mentioned, it's one of those numbers that you can move the...
Right. And this is important because if we did not adjust these ages back in the 80s, Social Security would be broke right now. And it's on the way to being broke. But adjusting the age is what they had to do. So full retirement age, if you were born after 1960, is going to be 67 years old. Right now it's 66 and 6 months. And it goes 66 and 8 months all the way up to age 67 to be considered full retirement age.
If you can hold on to that age 70, that might be your best benchmark,
right? Yeah, you can. And unfortunately, what a lot of people do is they don't do that. They start taking out from their savings and so on and so forth. You want to work or defer to age 70 if you possibly can. This is where financial planning comes in. This is what we do day in and day out for our clients. Try to figure out how you can best maximize that guaranteed income that you'll get from Social Security.
What about withholding limits?
Well, the withholding limits have once again have risen to the amount of the wage base, 133 this year, and then it's going to 137. And once you exceed that income, they're not taking anything more out of your check for Social Security.
Okay, so that's where you max it out.
Exactly. So the key is continue to work and continue to put in your IRA, your 401k, because Social Security is a safety net. It's not meant to be a retirement plan. It will be there despite current talk. And I'll tell you what will happen. The younger generation is going to have to wait longer and probably get a little bit less, but Social Security will always be there.
Joe, always good to see you. Great
too,
advice.
Andrea.
Where can people find you?
Just Google me, 2 words, Joe Bert, B-E-R-T.
Awesome, Joe. Thanks.
Thanks, Andrea.
When you think of financial security, what do you think of? It involves money, but it isn't about money. It's about sending your children to college, providing medical care for your family, and finally a secure retirement so that you can enjoy your golden years. You only get one chance at financial security, so you need to know that you have chosen credentialed professionals to prudently guide you to and through your retirement years. That's why generations of clients have chosen the professionals at Certified Financial Group. For over 40 years, Certified Financial Planner professionals have provided fee-only financial planning, focusing on Social Security, retirement, and investment planning. What makes them different? All of their Certified Financial Planner professionals adhere to a formal code of ethics and continuing educational requirements that far exceed the average financial advisor. If you don't see this designation, a financial planner has not met the rigorous requirements needed to navigate today's challenging financial environment. Operating from a fiduciary standard of care, the CFP professionals have taken the added step of earning the Accredited Investment Fiduciary designation, awarded by the Center for Fiduciary Studies. As a fiduciary, these planners have a duty of loyalty and care to put their clients' interests above their own. Certified Financial Group is an independent firm. Its independence allows it to selectively partner with many of the world's largest financial institutions. This allows it to recommend the best financial solutions tailored to each individual. no house products, and no sales quotas. From its headquarters in Altamont Springs, the Certified Financial Planner professionals and staff deliver a client-centric approach focused on serving you to and through your retirement years. That is the certified difference.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility.
Financial Group right here on News 96.5 WDBO. We are live here on News 96.5 WDBO on February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day, with the Oracle of Orlando, Joe Burt, alongside Gary Abley, certified financial planner professionals at the Certified Financial Group, ready, willing, and able to take your phone calls this morning at 844-220-0965. That is 844-220-0965. And Joe, for anybody that may have joined us during the latest news, weather, and traffic, what can they call you about?
Well, this is the only financial call-in show in Central Florida that's hosted exclusively by Certified Financial Planner professionals. Gary Abley and I are here this morning to take calls that might be on your mind regarding your personal finance. We go through life trying some of this, trying some of that. Wake up when we're 55 years old and find out we might have a collection of financial accidents. You need to turn those accidents into a lifetime of income to supplement your Social Security and perhaps a pension that you have. And this is what we do day in and day out at Certified Financial Group for a fee. We're fiduciaries for our clients. We do financial planning and investment management on a fee basis, but Saturday morning we are here absolutely free taking your calls. So if you have any questions that might be on your mind, decisions that you're trying to make about your 401k and IRA, about an insurance policy, about reverse mortgages, about annuities, all that and more, this is the stuff that we deal with. So once again, pick up the phone and dial these numbers.
844-220-0965. That's 844-220-0965. Text machine is up and running as well at 21232. That is 21232. You can also watch us this morning on Facebook. Facebook.com. Put Certified Financial Group into the search bar, and we're right there at the top of the page there on the Certified Financial Group Facebook page. It's pinned to the top. It's the watch party. You'll be able to watch the show, and of course, you can always go back there to get some latest information from during the week if you want to sit in your office and listen to the show and watch it in the background. That's what it's there for. So again, give us a call if you're ready, 844-220-0965. All right, got a text question in here at 21232. My mutual fund doesn't seem to be performing well. Should I sell it?
It depends.
Common question. Really.
So that's a tough one because with text we can't ask the questions. But what I would want to know is it's not performing well compared to what? In other words, maybe a peer group. Joe and I were just talking during the break about how growth stocks have largely over the last 10 years just smoked value-oriented stocks.
All right, stop right there.
Yep.
We know what that means, but what's the difference between a growth stock and a value stock, a growth fund and a value fund?
So think in terms of earnings per share growth rate, revenue growth for a company. And a company like Amazon would be a growth stock.
Right.
Okay. A company like Johnson & Johnson or a healthcare company.
General Electric, Ford.
Well, right. All of those would be value. They typically sell at price-earnings ratios, which is an evaluation of how many times you're paying for 1 year's of earnings.
And
so
they typically pay dividends.
Yep, they typically pay dividends. So usually 16 to 18 times earnings or less would be value. Above that, like again, an Amazon would be a growth-oriented company.
Right, and those growth companies generally don't pay the dividends because what they're doing is they're taking the cash flow and reinvesting or buying back their own shares.
Exactly, right. If they're growing so fast, why not reduce the number of shares outstanding?
Right.
So, one of the questions I would ask that individual is, okay, if you're comparing your results to that of a peer group, so if let's say that fund he's talking about is a large cap growth fund, and it did 22% last year when a lot of the large cap growth funds did over 30% last year. Then I would say, okay, well, that's a 1 year underperformance. And you might look at it and say, okay, is this in a taxable account or is it in an IRA account? If it's in a taxable account and I sell it, I might have to pay some taxes. But really where I start wanting to let a mutual fund go is when it's been underperforming its peer group for a rolling 3-year period of time. But there's a whole host of other things we look at. In fact,
for
we
example,
look at 11 criteria.
11 criteria.
Yep. And one of them would be the expense ratio.
Mhm.
You know, if this fund he was in, maybe the expenses are above 1%, that might be high for a U.S. domestic mutual fund, probably reasonable if it were international. So we'd look at the expenses. We would look at things like the Sharpe ratio, the alpha generated by the fund, which are risk-adjusted rates of return. We might see that the manager just changed, right? Now, that's important. That is critical. So one of the things that we like to see is a in-place management team. My hope is that they've been there at least 10 years, and that's kind of one of the criteria we look at for selecting a mutual fund. But then you've got to monitor that. You can't just buy it and forget it. You know,
Exactly.
I think back to the days when Peter Lynch did a great job managing the Fidelity Magellan Fund.
Mhm.
Well, when he retired, you know, the performance of the fund was not as good for a while relative to its peer group. So when you do have these management changes, you really have to view that fund as a brand new fund.
I think what you've just done is given our listeners a little bit of insight into what's involved when we're building investment portfolios. It's not just a matter of how many stars, diamonds, or smiley faces a mutual fund has or what's hot at the moment. And people chase the hot fund because that's all they know. I mean, it says up, 18% last year, 20%, 25%, and they think, but they have no idea how much risk that manager is taking to get that return. And you just can't pick a fund purely on return, although at the end of the day, that's what we look for.
Sure.
But there are 11 distinct criteria. Actually, there's 9 criteria. A couple of them are overlap, which gives you 11 different data points to look at. But this is what we do as fiduciaries and investment managers for our clients in building portfolios to be sure that you have diversification with quality. Diversification with quality in the long run will get you there. We're not trying to hit home runs. What we don't want to do is strike out.
That's right. And one question I would ask the person who texts is what percentage they have in large company stocks, how much in mid, how much in small, how much in growth, how much in value, how much in international. You know, it's interesting. There seems to be getting a consensus that we are toward the end of a business cycle, and developed Europe and Asia might be starting on the road to recovery. And while we're trading at 20 times, the S&P 500, trading at 20 times this year's earnings, we're seeing developed Europe and Asia trading at about 12 times.
Interesting point on that. As we know, maybe our listeners aren't aware, the S&P 500 is cap-based, and larger companies take up a larger percentage of that 500. And there's where your big multiples are.
Yes.
And so if you look at the ones that are downstream, if you subtract those, it really isn't as high a ratio as we're talking about.
Exactly.
So there's still some opportunity there. But if you're just trading the S&P 500, you may be surprised what ultimately happens. And that's why diversification is critical.
Yeah, I think the top 10 in the S&P 500 are close to a quarter.
That's correct. That's correct.
So that's a big, and we were also just talking about, technology today.
Mm-hmm.
All of the returns of late have been driven by technology.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is an extremely good point, listeners. So pay attention because
there's a mutual fund manager. I won't mention the name.
Well, that's all right. This is how we learn. This is how we learn.
But a very great large cap growth fund manager, and they looked at all 500 companies in the S&P 500, and they identified close to 30% of those that they feel their businesses will be disrupted by technology over the next decade. And
so what does that tell you?
Well, it tells us because most of those that are going to be disrupted are going to be the old companies. I won't mention specific names, but more toward value.
Sure.
And unless they evolve and create an ability to transact business, maybe through e-commerce to a greater extent than what they're doing, they're going to be left behind.
Yes.
I mean, you just think of retail malls right now. What will happen to all of these retail malls as we continue to open up our front door and pick up the package we just ordered yesterday?
Exactly.
I just ordered a pair of shoes, and I forgot that I had ordered. I opened the front door, and there's my shoes. I wore them last night, but I mean, how convenient is that?
Yeah.
Not even having to use the gas to get out of the car and then you can order size 14, 15, 16. You find the one that fits you, and that's what I did, and I send the other two back. It's crazy.
In the symposium that I was at 2 weeks ago with financial planners here in Central Florida, I can't remember the speaker, but he showed the companies that were the top 10 companies 10 years ago and where they are today and they're not there anymore.
Right.
They're not there anymore. How? And I wish I could remember the companies. If I mention the companies, you would know who they are. But it goes to your point that things are changing. They're changing rapidly.
Exactly.
Which is why it makes it more and more difficult today for individual investors to own individual stocks.
Right. Exactly. Now, back to the text. Let's say he was in a small cap fund, and he said, well, my small cap fund only did 25 or 22%, let's say, and the S&P 500 outperformed it. Right. Well, keep in mind that small companies over long periods of time actually outperform mid-size and large-size companies. However, that has not been the case over the last 10 years, and this is why we need to think long term and realize that the greater the risk, the greater the volatility, but we should be compensated for that. So we want to have some exposure to the small companies and mid-sized companies. So that's a long-winded answer to that text. But it's tough with text messages.
And, of course, it demonstrates the point of why you need diversification across all asset classes.
And monitoring.
And monitoring. Yes, it's not just a matter of picking the funds today, what might be good today. And we see this time and time again that people get married to an investment because it's done well, and they don't realize what's going on underneath it. The manager left, the expenses have changed, they're lagging their peers, the manager's taking too much risk to get the return, and you wake up 5 years later and say, gee, what happened? I got left in the dust.
Well, that or people not rebalancing. So I met with somebody back in 2013 or beginning of 2013, and they had a 60-40 mix, which was moderate risk portfolio. And they came back recently, and they hadn't done anything to it. And now they're basically in aggressive. No, it's way more than that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually in the aggressive category because equities have done so much better during that time frame than the bonds.
Right. So that's why what we do for our clients is rebalance their portfolios as well.
Exactly.
And what does that mean?
Well, that means simply doing what most people don't want to do.
Exactly.
Which is sell your winners.
Right.
And buy your losers.
Ouch, you want me to sell that thing? It's making so much money?
Right. But that's how you maintain a proper asset allocation, basically keeping within your risk tolerance. And so, if you're a 60-40 mix, meaning 60% equities, 40% fixed income, market rises by 10%, now you're 66-34. So depending on what threshold you want to use to rebalance, you might say, all right, it's time to rebalance, right? Conversely, the market drops 10%. What do people not want to do?
They don't want to sell the losers.
Well, they don't want to buy equities because they don't want to.
And they don't want to sell what went down necessarily because they think it's going to come back.
Right. But so what we need to do when the market goes down is we need to sell some of our bonds and buy more of what went down.
That's correct.
Right. To keep in that asset allocation. So
to go back to what we talked, what you just said, Joe.
Yes.
About the top 10 companies 10 years ago. I saw that same article and I just actually pulled it up.
Yeah. Tell me.
So here's some 10 companies of 2009. Number 1 was ExxonMobil. Number 2 was Walmart. Number 3 was Chevron. Number 4 was ConocoPhillips. Number 5 was General Electric. Number 6 was General Motors. Number 7 was Ford Motors. Number 8 was AT&T. Number 9 was Hewlett-Packard. And number 10 was Valero Energy Company.
Hello.
A lot of energy there.
Do we see a theme there?
Yeah, a lot of energy.
Just for kicks and giggles, 2019.
Here we go.
Walmart, ExxonMobil, Apple, Berkshire Hathaway, Amazon, United Health Group, CVS, AT&T, and AmerisourceBergen.
There you go.
Those were top 10.
There you go. So half of them survived and half didn't.
I really think Walmart and ExxonMobil are the only two.
AT&T, I think.
Oh, AT&T. They were 8, they were 9. So 3.
Yep.
3 of the top 10 companies from 10 years ago are no longer there. Isn't that crazy?
And this is what, frankly, when you invest in a mutual fund, this is why you're hiring the managers to read the tea leaves and to figure out where the wind is blowing, how the trends are going. And this is what the key is to investing. You need diversification. That's why you own a mutual fund, because that manager or managers are reading what's going on out there, what industries are changing, and how to position their portfolios so you're not left in the dust.
And you just said succinctly why we are not stock pickers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes we'll have a prospective client come in and say, well, yeah, I see you're just recommending mutual funds or exchange-traded funds, but how come there aren't any individual stocks?
Right.
My simple answer to that is, companies have huge research departments that are looking at, hundreds of stocks, but most of them don't look at more than hundreds because it takes a huge staff of people to monitor all these quarterly announcements. You look at any company and you go to finance.yahoo.com and you look at the news items, and there's something to digest every day.
Yes.
On these large companies. And that is better left to research teams, that can do that.
Yep.
So.
844-220-0965. We've got 844-220-0965 is the number to dial us up if you have a question. We're coming up on our last segment, so if you have a question, now is an excellent time to get on the line. Again, 844-220-0965. We are planning tomorrow.
Today.
The Certified Financial Group right here on News 96.5 WDBO. Right now, it's time to get the 3 big things you need to know.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility of making investment decisions on behalf of other people. As the trustee of a retirement plan, the decisions you make can have a direct impact on the lives of your employees. Whatever type of investor you are, the solution is to use an advisor certified by the Center for Fiduciary Excellence. A CFEX certified advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence, a defined standard with specific criteria covering 21 best practices. The documented, repeatable processes and the evidence-based decision-making that CFEX demands are more likely to generate investment portfolios that match client needs and expectations. And because the firm voluntarily agrees to a rigorous annual audit, investors can rest assured that their advisor continues to work to the highest professional standards. This independent verification is even more critical for trustees and investment committee members of retirement plans who are legally required to conduct regular due diligence on their service providers. Use a CFEX certified firm, and that job has been done already by an expert at no expense to the plan. So why leave anything to chance? Insist on working with investment professionals you can truly trust. Insist on using a CFEX certified advisor.
Welcome back to Good Day Orlando. On the Business Watch this morning, check your credit scores. FICO announcing they've made changes to how score models are calculated, which could mean a drop in your credit score. Certified financial planner Joe Burt joining us in studio this morning with what you need to know. Joe, good morning. Always good to see you.
You too as well.
So this is a bit alarming. Tell us about this new credit score model.
Well, Fair Isaac Corporation is a company started in 1956 that reports to the 3 major credit reporting agencies, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And those folks give your credit score to lenders who want to determine whether or not you're creditworthy. So what they're doing is they're fine-tuning, if you will, what the credit score is, and the impact is that some folks' scores are going to go up and some are going to go down.
Okay. How is this different than before? Obviously, they've got a new mathematical model that they're using.
Right. What they're looking at now is how people are using unsecured credit. Loans that you can take without putting up any collateral, loans that you might put on a credit card from American Express. And what they're finding is some folks are doing is they're getting a cash advance to make credit card payments on their old credit cards, almost like a Ponzi scheme. So they're watching that. And if your credit score is 680 or above and you're not doing that, you may get a 20-point bump. If your score is 600 or below and you're doing that, you're going to get a 20-point drop.
My goodness. Okay, so what does it mean for the consumers who are on time with all their payments and have a great score? Will this affect them at all?
Not to any great degree. As long as you're on time and you're not abusing credit, it's not going to affect you at all. But what they're keeping an eye on now is this unsecured credit, and they're concerned about that because the lenders want to be sure that you're going to make those payments, and they have to fine-tune the algorithms.
What about your credit limits, so your debt-to-income ratio and that kind of thing? Will they be looking at that as well? Or
There aren't any changes planned for that. In fact, in recent times, they took away the the scoring that you did if you had a big medical bill and couldn't make the payment or making payments on time. They didn't, in times past, that impact your credit score. They changed that a little bit and give you some liberalization to realize, that's a once-in-a-lifetime event and people have the ability to pay those bills off in time. So they gave you some leniency here. But now what they're really looking at is this credit utilization and people borrowing money on an unsecured basis.
We see all the commercials throughout the day, throughout the evening, watching TV, how to boost our credit score. What is the legit way of boosting our credit score? And can we really?
Well, you can. The best way to do it, and the most important thing, because it affects 35% of your score, is to make timely payments. I just learned this weekend. My daughter is in town, and my granddaughter has her first American Express card. Listen to this. This is funny. She charges her on an American Express card, all right? She gets a notice immediately on your phone, and then instantly she goes to her bank and pays it off.
Wow, that's responsible credit card use.
Yeah, God bless her. She's been taught well.
Yes, my goodness. So when it comes to using any of these apps or anything like that, is that an effective way of trying to map out a boost for your credit score? Not really.
You want to check your credit score because, as we said in times past, your credit score is your financial reputation. It'll affect your ability to get a job, sometimes to get an apartment, certainly your insurance, your automobile insurance, your homeowner's insurance. It's your financial reputation, and you really need to protect it, and don't take it lightly. Credit is a killer. My definition of a credit card is a means for buying something you don't need at a price you can't.
Financial Group right here on News 96.5 WDBO's Ask the Experts Weekend. We're taking your phone calls at 844-220-0965. That is 844-220-0965 with the Oracle of Orlando, Joe Burt, alongside Gary Abley, and we are 3 minutes away from latest news, weather, traffic. Want to get straight to the phone callers here. Charles and Eustis. Charles, you're on the Certified Financial Group.
Morning, Charles.
Good morning.
How you guys? Hey, y'all got a great show, man. I just want to say y'all got a great show. I listen to you guys every weekend, every chance I get to listen to you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
My question is, those online apps where you can Acorns, where they round your change up to the nearest dollar invested for you, or Stash. Are those legitimate apps? Do you recommend those? It's like 2 or 3 of them. Acorn, Stash. It's like 1 or 2 more of them. How do you guys feel about those online apps?
Sure. First of all, let's define for our listeners what you're talking about. Gary has done a little research on that. Gary, what'd you find?
So just as you mentioned, it allows you to you give it your Social Security number, and you can have debit and credit cards linked to this, to where you make an online purchase or a purchase in general. And let's say I bought something at Publix and it was $9.20. I elect to round up to $10.80, gets automatically invested into a basket of exchange-traded funds. Charles, I don't see anything negative about it. It's not a substitute for good financial planning and for portfolio management, but to accumulate some money by automatically, it's kind of a forced savings account, so I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's not a bad idea, but as Gary said, it's a start.
It's a start.
It's a start.
Exactly.
That's correct.
Yep.
It's a start.
Yeah, definitely don't be your only plan. Thanks so much, Charles, for the call. We got a text question here real quick. Active versus hang in there management. How can any investment group PO? And apparently that got cut off somehow. But active versus hang in there management, Joe.
Well, it's people that talk about, we're going to get you out of the market. It means that they have a crystal ball and they can tell you when to get out, and more importantly, they can tell you when to get back in. Frankly, it's a gimmick, and it's a way to bring clients in your office because what you're doing is you're selling them something you really don't have, and that's kind of this safety net, security blanket, whatever it might be. We have not seen it work. There's nobody that can time the market consistently. Right. We believe that you should rebalance your portfolio. That's the difference between just hanging in there. We rebalance portfolios, and that's the secret.
Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful.
Exactly.
That's rebalance.
Rodney's at the office. You can call him right now at 407-869-9800 or 1-800-EXECUTE, and on the web at financialgroup.com.
We have been planning tomorrow.
Today.
The Certified Financial Group right here on News 96.5 WDBO.
When you think of financial security, what do you think of? It involves money, but it isn't about money. It's about sending your children to college, providing medical care for your family, and finally a secure retirement so that you can enjoy your golden years. You only get one chance at financial security, so you need to know that you have chosen credentialed professionals to prudently guide you to and through your retirement years. That's why generations of clients have chosen the professionals at Certified Financial Group. For over 40 years, Certified Financial Planner professionals have provided fee-only financial planning, focusing on Social Security, retirement, and investment planning. What makes them different? All of their Certified Financial Planner professionals adhere to a formal code of ethics and continuing educational requirements that far exceed the average financial advisor. If you don't see this designation, a financial planner has not met the rigorous requirements needed to navigate today's challenging financial environment. Operating from a fiduciary standard of care, the CFP professionals have taken the added step of earning the Accredited Investment Fiduciary designation, awarded by the Center for Fiduciary Studies. As a fiduciary, these planners have a duty of loyalty and care to put their clients' interests above their own. Certified Financial Group is an independent firm. Its independence allows it to selectively partner with many of the world's largest financial institutions. This allows it to recommend the best financial solutions tailored to each individual. No house products and no sales quotas. From its headquarters in Altamont Springs, the Certified Financial Planner professionals and staff deliver a client-centric approach focused on serving you to and through your retirement years. That is the certified difference.